Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'll be bringing you my somewhat birthday book haul. Most of these books I got for my birthday, books that I got myself for my birthday, books that I got from my wife and some friends also, and then a couple of random books that I ended up picking up right before my birthday that I didn't mention in my last book haul that I just figured I would go ahead and throw into this book haul and show you guys today. The first book I ended up picking up a while ago, this was probably like a month and a half or so ago that I just didn't mention in my last book haul, was Calamity by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third and final book in the Reckoners trilogy. This is a YA dystopian post-apocalyptic type book about these like people or this event that happens, and these people end up acquiring these like superpowers or abilities, and everybody who has acquired abilities has become villains, and they're going around kind of destroying the world. I've heard pretty good things about this series. I've heard a little bit of mixed things about this last book, but I'm really interested in getting into it because I haven't read anything by Brandon Sanderson before, and these are shorter, like because they're YA dystopian, they're shorter than kind of his big, epic, giant, like adult fantasies that I just like don't have time to get into right now. Now I have all three, so I can go ahead and binge all of them. Now the next random book was from my book of the month from September, and that was Lies She Told by Kate Houlihan. This is an adult mystery thriller type book where our main character is an author, and she's writing a book, or at least she's struggling to write her next novel, and when she's writing, like certain things start to happen, people start to be murdered in real life as she's also writing this within her book. So her real life starts to mirror the novel that she's writing. So people are kind of like suspecting her a little bit as to if she's doing these kinds of things. I believe she's an unreliable narrator. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. I haven't been able to read this one because I've just been, again, so busy. I tend to read all of my books of the month that I get them, so I don't let them accumulate. But this has been the one month that I just haven't had much time, so I haven't read this one yet. I'm super excited to get to it, though, and see kind of how it plays out. Now on to all of the books that I picked up during my birthday. So the first batch are books that I picked up for myself, either from Amazon or from Book Outlet. The first one I picked up at the beginning of September because I, for some reason, started celebrating my birthday a month before, because yeah, that's what you have to do, and that was Rule Inferno by Jennifer Wilson. This is the third and final book in the New World trilogy, which is a YA dystopian series that I'm really loving. I'm currently reading book 2 and really enjoying that one also, and I'm super excited to get into this third one because yeah, I really liked how everything is played out. I have a couple of things that I would love this series to do, so I'm hoping that within book 2 or maybe even book 3, these things get done and end up kind of like upping my enjoyment of these, because I like how things are going, but I want more out of it, so I hope I end up getting more as the series progresses, and I'm super excited to finally have the third and final book, because as soon as I'm done with book 2, I'm probably going to end up jumping right into book 3. And I also picked up for myself Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. I've slowly become more interested in continuing on with this series. I've read the first 3 books up to Heir of Fire, but I haven't continued after that, and slowly I started to kind of lose interest in the series, so I wasn't sure if I was going to continue it or not. But just recently, what was it, Tower of Dawn came out, the Kale story, and everybody's been kind of like really raving about that one, so it's kind of perked my interest on this series again. This one was like fairly cheap on Amazon. I think it was only like $6. So I said, you know what, I bit the bullet, I picked it up, and I'm kind of interested in continuing on with the series. I don't know when I'm going to, because I still need to read The Assassin's Blade before I actually get to Queen of Shadows. So yeah, I mean, I have book 5, so hopefully this motivates me to want to continue on with the series, because I have 3 more books that I own in the series that I have not read yet, and I'm interested to get to that Kale story because I actually like Kale as a character, so I'm excited to see kind of how his story progresses, how things are done in there, because like I said, I've heard really good things about that one, and I'm sort of excited and interested to see how the rest of the story plays out, because I like Selena Sardothien also as a character, so I'm curious to see where her story goes. Now the next handful of books I picked up from Book Outlet, because you have to give yourself some books from Book Outlet for your birthday. I feel like that's an obligation. So I ended up picking up 5 books from Book Outlet. First one that I picked up was Divine Directions, 7 Decisions That Will Change Your Life. This is a self-help kind of Christian book that we will be reading at my church, because every now and then they do kind of these different kind of like book club meeting groups kind of thing, and they do like, I think it's like 10 or 15 of these groups, and we split up and discuss this book, go into, you know, people's houses and stuff, and discuss this book, kind of like a book club. And I'm really excited to get into this one because I haven't been a part of any of these book clubs for a while. This one's fairly short, and yes, I'm excited to see what this one is all about. Then the next book I picked up from Book Outlet was The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. Now this is a book kind of in the realm of speak. It deals with abuse and stuff, and the reason why I ended up picking up this book was because the adolescent literature class that they give at my school is actually reading this book as part of their curriculum, and I eventually am going to take that class. And I talked to the professor of that class, and she said she recently introduced this book into that curriculum for that class this semester, so I don't think by the time I take that class she's going to change up her curriculum again, because this one was just newly introduced. She used to talk about Speak, like the book Speak was the one that they used to study on, but she wanted something that dealt with the same topics of abuse but was more modern, so she ended up switching it to this book instead. So now I have it ahead of time. Hopefully I'll be able to read it before I end up actually taking that class. If I don't, either way I'm going to end up reading it for school, so I'm excited to see what this one's about and kind of getting into discussions in class about this one. And I also picked up A Conjuring of Light by V. Schwab. This is the third and final book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. I haven't started this trilogy yet, but this is an adult fantasy series that follows kind of our main character that can kind of jump between alternate Londons, I believe it is, and he steals something from one London that he wasn't supposed to, and chaos kind of ensues. I've heard mixed things about this one, but I somewhat like V.E. Schwab's writing. I've only ever read Vicious by her, and I really, really ended up loving that one, so I've been wanting to check out more things by V.E. Schwab. I just, for some reason, haven't picked anything else up by her, but now I have the entire Shades of Magic trilogy, so I feel like at some point, whenever I end up having time to pick something up by her, I can go ahead and binge this series. Then I also picked up Ice Like Fire by Sarah Rash. This is the second book in the Snow Like Ashes series. I think that's what it's called, and this is a YA fantasy series where these kingdoms are all split up between different seasons, and they're kind of at war with each other. I've heard somewhat good things about it. I've been interested because of the fact that they're like the different kingdoms split up between the different seasons, and I kind of like that concept. So this one was fairly cheap. I went ahead and picked it up. I have not started that series yet, but I will hopefully start it one day. You know, now that I have book 2, it might be motivation for me to finally go ahead and start book 1. And the last book I picked up from Book Outlet was Wind Witch by Susan Denner. This is the second book in the Truth Witch series? I don't know what it's called. Witchlands series, yes. I read book 1 back when it first came out. Like, how long has it been now? A year and a half, almost 2 years since Truth Witch came out. And I thought it was okay back when I read it, but I was a little kind of like off on my reading at the time when I read it, so it took me a while to get into and understand everything that was going on. So I definitely have to reread Truth Witch before I get into Wind Witch, because I've been wanting to continue this series. I just really know that I have to read book 1 again before I can get into this one. And the next couple of books are ones that I got as gifts. The first 2 books that I got were from my friend Dive, and these are the first 2 books in the Joe Ledger series by Jonathan Mayberry, the first one being Patient Zero, and the second one being The Dragon Factory. Now this is Jonathan Mayberry's adult series, and Joe Ledger made an appearance in the Rotten Ruin series back when we read it, and really enjoyed him as a character, so we've been really curious to actually read the books based on Joe Ledger. I've heard absolutely amazing things on the Joe Ledger series. I've heard it's better than the Rotten Ruin series. I really love Jonathan Mayberry's like writing and his world, and everything's so action-packed, and I absolutely love it. So I'm really, really excited to have these 2, and I was super grateful that Dia actually ended up getting these for me. Then a couple of books that I got from my wife. The first one was probably our most anticipated read of this year, and that was Shadow Crown by Kristen Martin. I've mentioned Kristen Martin on this channel before. She has a YouTube channel where she gives a lot of writing advice and everything, and she's an author, and I've read and reviewed her first trilogy on this channel. I'll link that down below. But this is the first book in her new dark fantasy series that I'm really, really excited for. I immediately started reading it after I got it. I'm about 45 pages or so in, and I'm super excited about the series. I've been enjoying it so far, and so far you can tell that her writing has definitely improved, so that's definitely a plus that I'm super excited for, because it feels completely different than her first trilogy, and I'm super excited to continue on with this one. Then she also got me Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover is like my guilty pleasure author. It's like the one author that I'm just like kind of embarrassed to love as much as I do, but I'm kind of okay with it because me and my wife both absolutely love Colleen Hoover books, and we've read a couple of them like together and discuss them and talk about them, and it's just like it's really fun to be able to connect with Colleen Hoover books like together as a couple. And I'm really excited to have her newest novel. The synopsis is a little vague, but I kind of want to go into this one fairly blindly and not look into it as much. I don't know when I'm actually going to get to this book. I'm hoping to get to it fairly soon because I know once I get to it, I'll speed through it because the writing is like insanely addicting. So I'm really excited to have her newest novel. And the last book I ended up getting from my wife was The Glittering Court by Richelle Mead. This is the first book in the Glittering Court trilogy, I think it is, and the unique thing about this series and what interested me about this one is the way that it is formatted, because each book follows a different character, and within each book you get kind of a full story arc, but you don't really get a complete kind of visual of the story. You don't get all of the information of the story and the things that are going on because each character isn't kind of like completely informed of what's going on. So it's kind of like a puzzle where each character has their own set pieces, and it isn't until you have read each book with each character that you get kind of a full scope of everything and you're able to see kind of the entire picture. And that's kind of how this is formatted. That's why I ended up being really interested in the series, and I'm super excited that my wife ended up kind of like stalking my Amazon wishlist and finding this on there and getting it for me, because I wasn't expecting to get this book at all. I know I threw it in there because I've been interested in this book since it came out, but I had no plans on picking it up anytime soon. So I'm super excited to have this one and hopefully get to this one fairly soon, because like I said, I've been interested in this book since the first one came out sometime last year, and I'm really excited to get into this one and experience kind of that different kind of storytelling that I feel this book has. I've heard really amazing things about this one so far. I'm really excited to have it. So yeah, guys, that is it for all of the kind of random books that I picked up and then all of the books that I got for my birthday. Comment down below, let me know if you have read any of these so that I can kind of like know which ones to prioritize and everything. Thank you guys all again for watching, and I will see you all next time.